So today we will be doing some of the mock questions from the past term papers, and then at the end for around 20 minutes I will be discussing general. There are certain things which are not covered in IFRS IAS which are general. Those things we will discuss slightly today, slightly in the next class also. They are more important for SBR exam, strategic business reporting, not so much relevant for IFRS exam, but still we will discuss. Because those who are giving IFRS exam, for them as a general knowledge, for those who are giving SBR exam, their syllabus area covers many things which are not part of IAS, IFRS. General knowledge, current topic, current situations. Okay, so that I will discuss at the end half an hour, but presently I am focusing on some of the past term papers. Okay, and since we could not have class on Monday, so we will have tomorrow also, so that we can do more and more questions from the past term papers. Okay. So going ACCAglobal.com, under students study support resources. Initially I am going in some few questions of IFRS. Past term papers, under past term, December 2021. Just I will download the answers also. So wherever we will find confusion, we will be able to refer. Now, next. We should be reading these instructions at least once. Because whether you are giving remote based exam or center based, the paper will open like this only. For this they give 15 minutes extra, but generally we should be ready. Now this first question we have already done in the class, so I am skipping that. So this is the second question of December 2021 exam. You are the finance controller of Gamma. You report to the finance director. So we are the finance controller and our boss is finance director. One of your key roles is to prepare the draft consolidated financial statements for approval by the board. So as a finance controller, you need to draft the company's PL account, balance sheet, cash flow and other things, which you give to your boss, the finance director, and then it is in the board meeting discussed by the board members that whether your draft correct, not, whatever. Gamma prepares consolidated financial statements to 30th September each year. So our year ending in the question 30th September. Gamma has a number of subsidiaries who operate in a number of different business sectors. So we have not one, we have many subsidiaries and who operate in different business sectors. The following exhibits available on the left hand side of the screen provide information relevant to the question. Disposal of subsidiary. The first exhibit is relating to a subsidiary disposed. Details of a disposal during the year ended 30th September 2015. Construction of power plant. Details of the power generation. This is second exhibit. Construction of a power plant details of the power generating plant constructed during the year ended 30th September 2015 and your discussion with the finance director of Gamma. The first 25 marks question in IFRS exam, the first 30 marks question in SBR exam is group accounting consolidation. But then in IFRS, the further 3 question of 25 marks, in SBR, the further questions may include group accounting. So here still in the second question, is still in the group accounting. Still they are saying first question disposal of subsidiary, which is group accounting. Second question may be IAS 16 or something. We need to know while reading the exhibit. The information should be used to answer the question requirement with your chosen response options. That if the answer is in explanation, then you will use word file. If the answer is in calculation, so many columns rows, then use a spreadsheet. That means Excel sheet. Now relating to disposal of subsidiary, what we have discussed, if we are disposing a subsidiary, that means relating to that subsidiary, we will not be recording the assets, we will not be recording the liability, we will not be recording the NCI, we will not be recording the goodwill as far as balance sheet, and in PL account we will not record the expenses and incomes of the subsidiary. So when we sell normally any investment, then the sale price minus the value in the books balance is the gain. But in case of group accounting consolidation, the gain is what? We say that the sale price of sale in investment will be compared with the net assets. Because subsidiary assets and liability we are not going to record in the group accounts. Subsidiary NCI we are not going to record in the group accounts. Subsidiary goodwill we are not going to record. So net assets, goodwill, NCI gone. And we are getting a consideration. So what is the profit and loss for the group accounting purpose? I can say that suppose parent company has 80% shares in subsidiary. So we are selling that 80% shares, or maybe we are selling 50% shares. Then also we are losing the control. Then also we need to do the same thing. If we are losing the control, we are not selling the entire share. 80% we have selling 50%. So 30% we will also consider at sale only. 30% which is not sold fair value, 50% which is sold out sale price. The gain will be calculated when the control is lost, the same calculation. We need to compare with 80% value. What is 80% value? Subsidiary company all 100% assets. Subsidiary company entire 100% goodwill. But the subsidiary company 20% NCI. So 100% assets from the group accounts gone. 100% goodwill from the group accounts gone. And NCI 20% gone. Ultimately 100% assets plus 100% goodwill minus NCI 20% is actually giving you your 80% value. That 80% value you are comparing with the sale consideration. The difference is gain or loss. That gain or loss we are calculating for group accounts, not for the standalone. But if in the question information is given relating to taxation, because whenever you sell an asset, investment, anything, gain will be taxable. The tax will not be calculated on this amount. The tax will be calculated in the standalone balance sheet of parent company. What is the investment value of subsidiary and at what price we have sold. That will be the difference gain or loss. On that gain or loss, tax is considered in the standalone parent company books. That same tax we will consider in the group accounts. We will consider a taxation based on actual income, not based on group income. So I don't know whether they have given taxation story or not. But if it is given, that also need to be incorporated. That is, we know that what is to be done when there is a sale of a subsidiary. If I will go in further detail, maybe selling of a subsidiary cannot be done in one day. It will take time. in the group accounts, we can apply IFRS 5 principle. IFRS 5, assets held for sale and discontinued operations. So if there is a subsidiary, we have decided to sell off. Now the subsidiary income, expenditures, everything before the sale, we are considering under group accounts. Subsidiary, expenditures, income, everything. But since it is classified as held for sale, then in that case, for the subsidiary, we can record only one single item in the group accounts, profit or loss from discontinued operations. In place of incorporating their income, expenditures line by line, we can incorporate them as a profit or loss and a one single item in the group accounts. And at the same time, if during the year we are able to manage to sell the assets, manage to sell the shares, then that loss gain also will also be coming under that heading. So in place of incorporating their sale, purchase and everything under each item till the time they are subsidiary, we can follow IFRS 5 rules. Similarly, in the balance sheet, if by the end of the year the subsidiary is not yet disposed, but we are going to dispose, so the subsidiary assets and liabilities, we will not be recording with individual assets and liabilities. We will be recording under current assets, assets available for sale. I don't know what they are asking, whether sold or not, or is going to sell and all that. But these are the provisions which we discussed when we discussed about a subsidiary sold out or is expected to be sold out. Then the application of profit loss calculation, the application of IFRS 5. Assets held for sale and discontinued operation for group accounts. So what they are saying, let's see. But these are the maximum thing which will be applicable, other than any general knowledge, revaluation, this, that will be the common part. But relating to disposal of subsidiary, this is the thing which we discussed. On 31st May 2015, the year ending is 30th September and it is happening on 31st May. That means during the year, not at the beginning or at the end. Gamma disposed of its 75% holding in subsidiary A for 75 million. So they have 75% shares in subsidiary, sold off for 75 million. Gamma acquired these shares many years ago, not given that information, many years ago, for a cash consideration of 40 billion. So 75% shares parent acquired many years back for 40 million. Subsidiary A operates in a market sector which is different from that of the rest of the Gamma group. Subsidiary business is totally different than the group business. Suppose my business is providing training classes, but there is a subsidiary in Saraf Academy whose business is totally different than the training classes. So the business of subsidiary is totally different. Subsidiary A operates in a market sector which is different from that of the rest of the Gamma group. Its disposal was the result of a strategic decision by the directors of Gamma that the group should withdraw from that particular sector. So the directors of the group company, mainly parent company, decided in board meeting, in a totally different business we have invested 75%, not required. That was a strategic business decision that we should concentrate on our core competencies. We should concentrate on those areas where we have knowledge. Why we should crack our brain something in which we don't have knowledge? Maybe they acquired earlier many years back, but now they are deciding we should concentrate on our core activity. When Gamma purchased the shares in subsidiary A many years back, that is not given, the net assets of subsidiary A had a fair value of 48 million. So maybe 5 years back, when we acquire shares of subsidiary, the net assets, assets minus liability, the value of subsidiary was 48 million. None of the assets and liabilities of subsidiary A, which were measured in the initial fair value exercise undertaken at the date of subsidiary, None of the assets and liabilities of subsidiary which were measured in the initial fair value exercise undertaken at the date of subsidiary A's acquisition were included in the financial statements of subsidiary A at 30th September 2014. We discussed as per IFRS 3 business combination, whenever we acquire another organization as a subsidiary or full takeover, then the other organization assets liabilities need to be fair valued. But that fair valuation is going to be accounted for in group accounts, not in the standalone financials of subsidiary. So they are saying that many years back, when the subsidiary was acquired, the fair valuation was done. Those fair valuation was not recorded in the subsidiary company standalone financial. They were recorded in the group accounts only. That's logical only. Jabardasti ka they are writing that you will read and you will get confused. So that information is not relevant for us. When Gamma acquired its controlling interest in subsidiary A, the directors elected to measure the non-controlling interest in subsidiary A at its fair value of 13 million at the date of acquisition. So when 4, 5, 10 years back, when we acquired shares in subsidiary, the NCI value was 13 million fair value. So we will be able to calculate 100% goodwill because NCI fair value given. No impairment of goodwill on acquisition of subsidiary A has ever been necessary. There is no impairment till date. We acquired 4, 5 years back, still the goodwill is same. On 1st October 2014, now they are taking 1 year back. They are selling the subsidiary on May 15, which is September, say 4, 5 months back. But then they are talking 1 year back, October 14. The net assets of subsidiary A had a total carrying amount of 62 million. Net assets 1 year back of subsidiary 62 million. During the year ended 30th September current year, subsidiary A made a post tax profit of 6.6 million. During the entire 12 months, subsidiary made an income 6.6 million. This profit accrued evenly over the year, even though they are not saying, if you want to calculate profit for 5 months, 6 months, we will do 5 by 12 and all that. They are saying you can do that. Even though they will not say we require, we will do that. Subsidiary A had no other comprehensive income. There is no other only the profit. Subsidiary A paid a dividend of 3.6 million March before sale. May be sold out, but before sale, subsidiary paid dividend 3.6 million. This was the only dividend paid by subsidiary during the year ended. In the current year, only dividend. Gamma incurred an income tax liability of 7 million on the disposal of shares in subsidiary A. This is they are straight away giving, but this 7 million we can't calculate. In the standalone balance sheet of parent company, the investment is appearing at what value? 40 million. And we sold at 75 million. So 40 to 75 in standalone I am talking. 40 to 75, 35 million. Say tax rate is 20%. So in the standalone books of parent, 35 million into 20%, 7 million. I am just saying hypothetically. Since the tax amount is given, I am just correlating. 40 million was the cost, 75 million is the sale. So in standalone books, 35 million gain, 35 million, maybe 20% tax, 7 million tax amount. Gamma incurred an income tax liability 7 million on the disposal of shares in the subsidiary A. Now what is the question? That to this said, a requirement. It is advisable that in the exam, first of all, we should read the requirements. Because if you read the requirement, you will be able to focus while reading the scenario. And I will say that while reading the requirement, you read, copy, paste in your answer sheet. Save your time. That the requirement, whatever you are reading, you paste in your answer sheet. Whatever plus minus you need to do in your answer sheet, you will be able to do. So first when the question starts, we will be reading this, what is the information given. Then we will be reading requirement. Then we will read the exhibits relating to the question. So using the information in exhibit 1 and 2 explain and how the following events would be reported in the consolidated financial statement of Gamma for the year ended 30th September 2015. Using the information in Exhibit 1 and 2, explain and show. You need to explain, which is theoretical, and if calculations are required, you need to show how the following events, that is two events given, disposal of subsidiary, construction of plant, would be reported in the consolidated financial statements of Gamma for the year ended 30th September 2015. So the most important part is they are asking explain and show. That is explain and show. Relating to both the things, disposal of subsidiary, construction of power plant. Marks will be awarded for both figures and explanations. The first is 12 marks, second is 9 marks. Marks will be awarded for theory and numericals both. In this part of the question, you should ignore the implications of your discussion with the finance director. When you are answering A1, A2, what you will discuss with your boss, that you don't need to write here. But in B4 marks, they are answering using the information in the Exhibit 2. Exhibit 2 only, not 1, not disposal of subsidiary. Identify and explain the ethical threats you face as a result of your discussion with the finance director. Your explanation should refer to the relevant fundamental ethical principles. So this is 4 marks question that they are asking as separate. This is 4 marks question that I am also copy pasting. You see, when I am writing anything in the answer part, response options, there is no option to change the font size. I can't change the font size in exam. In normal Word, normal Excel, you can increase or decrease font size. But in exam, you are not allowed to increase or decrease font size. Second, in a normal Word feature, if you open, there are so many things. I think thousands of things. But in the exam, the features are, whatever the word features, they are very limited. And वैसे भी मेरे को कोई use करना नहीं. If I am in the exam hall, I need to write my answer, cut, paste, copy, paste and all that very less. ये सब का कोई काम नहीं, कोई use नहीं. Even though features are given, if you want to, you can say that खुल रहा नहीं है. This is, you can say like in window. We have the feature of inserting table in the answer, row, columns and all that. हम लोग डाल सकते हैं. Similarly, यहाँ भी है, but कोई जरूरत पड़ता नहीं है generally. Obviously, when you practice on the platform, you will automatically understand what I will be using in the exam. So all these are no use of information. Bold, italics ऐसे ही मैंने कर दिया. Time नहीं है exam में. There is no time to do bold and all that. We need to write the answer. If you think that you can solve the paper in less than 3 hours, you can do designing and all that, you can use bold, italics and all that. Otherwise, chup chap, concentrate on the answer. Okay. So we will be discussing this 4 number parts also. Anyhow, I need to discuss ethics. I will discuss here ethics properly. Now, so disposal of subsidiary related whatever information they have given, we need to answer, that is 12 marks. What information they have given? The information is this. If I am in the exam hall, I will be first writing the answers. Suppose this I am taking below. This is first part, a disposal of subsidiary, and this I will answer. Right here. I cannot increase the font size here because that option is not there. So maybe slightly it is looking less. But I need to give a feeling that in the exam, other than knowledge, your confidence level with the software working should be much greater level. आप सोचेंगे केवल एग्जाम में जाके you will open the question paper and solve it, you will face problem. You will not feel comfortable. So as I said in the previous class also last week, only one option to pass the exam, solve the question paper on the institute practice platform, on the institute software. What you can do, what you cannot do, you will be knowing. So it is better to do here, because in the normal Word and Excel features, the features are slightly different. So for that reason, everybody needs to practice on the institute platform only. We can write explanation in spreadsheet, but I feel that कि जब आप स्प्रेडशीट में लिखेंगे ना, कॉलम रो बहुत इधर उधर हो जाता, दिखता नहीं यार. Unless and until the question involves pure calculation like first question, तो स्प्रेडशीट में जाना इज लॉजिकल. बट अदरवाइज हियर वेयर मोस्ट ऑफ द पार्ट इज थ्योरी, स्प्रेडशीट में जाने से यू विल वेस्ट योर टाइम. आप ये पूछ रहे हैं क्यों? क्योंकि आप प्रैक्टिस नहीं किया. आप करेंगे तो फीलिंग खुद ही आएगा. With the two, you can practice. I think that in coming 10 days, when you practice one paper, then later on you need to revise also. Na? Suppose I have done this question. I am finding that I don't remember anything relating to disposal and all that. You need to again revise. After doing a paper, you need to revise the stuff from the particular topic. Then again after 3-4 days, you will be doing, as I said, I will be again saying today. तो जितना है उतना से ज्यादा कर ही नहीं सकते यार. एक प्रैक्टिस कर लिए, दिख गया कि दीज थिंग्स आर अलाउड, देन यू विल बी एबल टू मैनेज. They will be opening your both the responses sheets. If you have written something in Excel, they will open Excel also. They will open Word also. Wherever you have written anything, they will open. You don't have to take tension. Like in pen and paper. When in paper you are writing the answer, the examiner will read your last page till. So similarly, आपको टेंशन नहीं लेना है. एग्जामिनर अपने आप देखेगा. इतना सिस्टम है उनका, नो इश्यू.
Sir, a question था, word file में do we need to mention the question number or each separate word file is there for each question?
Each separate word file is there for each question. जैसे पिछले वाला क्वेश्चन जो हम लोग किए, उसके लिए वर्ड और एक्सेल अलग था, जो हम लोग पहले ही कर चुके दिसंबर 21 का कंसोलिडेशन वाला. अभी इसके लिए अलग है. फिर आगे जो क्वेश्चन आएंगे सबके लिए अलग है. बिकॉज उन लोग भी सोचते हैं एक वर्ड फाइल देने से उनको कंफ्यूजन हो जाएगा, तो वो सबके लिए अलग अलग डालें. लेकिन जैसे क्वेश्चन नंबर मैंने तो कॉपी पेस्ट क्यों किया कि देयर आर मेनी क्वेश्चन जहां बहुत कुछ रिक्वायरमेंट है, तो बार बार उसको खोलेंगे, टाइम वेस्ट होगा ना. इसको फिर मैं खोलूंगा तो इसमें टाइम वेस्टेज विल बी देयर. मेरे को टाइम बचाना है, मेरे को कैसे स्क्रीन पे वर्क करना है, मेरे को डिजाइन होना चाहिए. तो मैंने क्वेश्चन पहले ही कॉपी पेस्ट कर दिया. अब मेरे को रिक्वायरमेंट खोलना ही नहीं है. अब आप सोचेंगे एग्जामिनर सर इसके कोई नंबर नहीं दे रहे, मैं अपने लिए लिखा हूं एक्सप्लेन एंड सो. मेरे को कॉन्सेंट्रेट करने के लिए मेरे को क्या लिखना है. अप टिल नाउ देयर इज नथिंग आई हैव रिटन इन द आंसर सीट विच इज गोइंग टू गिव मी मार्क्स. अभी तक 0 है. लेकिन आई हैव डन वॉट एवर आई हैव डन फॉर माई ओन कन्वीनियंस इन द एग्जाम हॉल, कि मैं ऐसे अगर करूंगा देन इन दैट केस मेरे को कंफर्ट लेवल महसूस होएगा. समझ रहे बात? अभी तक आई हैव नॉट रिटन एनीथिंग ऑन विच एग्जामिनर इज गोइंग टू गिव मी मार्क्स, बिकॉज रिक्वायरमेंट को कॉपी करने से कोई नंबर तो नहीं मिलना है. आई नीड टू राइट समथिंग विच इज लॉजिकल, देन ओनली एग्जामिनर विल गिव मी मार्क्स. नाउ I will say that as per IFRS 10, when we acquire a subsidiary, then we record net assets, goodwill and NCI in group accounts. ऐसा हम लोग करते हैं. सो व्हेन वी आर लूजिंग कंट्रोल ऑन अ सब्सिडियरी, देन these items need to be excluded from group accounts एक्सक्लूडेड फ्रॉम ग्रुप अकाउंट्स। मैं जो भी लिख रहा हूं, इट इज नॉट द IFRS एग्जैक्ट लैंग्वेज, बट अगर मैं उनका आंसर पढ़ता हूं और मैं 5 करोड़ बार पढ़ता हूं, आई एम नॉट सेइंग 1 or 2 times, आई एम रीडिंग 5 करोड़ टाइम्स, देन ऑल्सो उनका कॉमा फुल स्टॉप में नहीं लिख पाऊंगा। आई नो इफ आई एम डूइंग प्रैक्टिकल वर्क, मेरे को IFRS खोलना अलाउड है। आई कैन कॉपी पेस्ट फ्रॉम द राइट अप ऑफ IFRS, जो एग्जैक्ट राइट अप है मैं कॉपी पेस्ट कर सकता हूं, नोबडी कैन क्वेश्चन मी। बट इन एग्जाम दैट लग्जरी आई एम नॉट हैविंग, that I can copy paste whatever is the exact write up in the IFRS. मेरे को तो अपने हिसाब से ही लिखना है, and the students are scoring 90+ by writing their own language. So if we are focusing on word memorizing and all that in any exam, वो एग्जाम अच्छा नहीं जाएगा, बिकॉज हम वो करना चाह रहे हैं जो इम्पॉसिबल है। हम वो कर सकते हैं जो पॉसिबल है, इम्पॉसिबल थिंग्स वी कांट फॉलो। मेरा ऑलरेडी यूट्यूब पे वीडियो है, स्ट्रैटेजी टू पास फॉर ऑल द सब्जेक्ट्स आई टुक इन सितंबर 2021। मैंने उसमें एग्जामिनर लोगों ने एक स्टूडेंट का पेपर लिया, स्टूडेंट का पेपर में उन्होंने मार्किंग किया स्टूडेंट का आंसर का, और उन्होंने वो मार्किंग का क्रिटिकल एनालिसिस किया, और कोई भी स्टूडेंट का आंसर है, एक ही स्टूडेंट का लिया, द लैंग्वेज इज नॉट सेम, बट सपोज उन्होंने 2 स्टूडेंट का कॉपी लिया, एक स्टूडेंट इज गेटिंग वेरी गुड मार्क्स, but the another student is getting very less marks, and they have given the logic that why the student is getting more and less marks. You can see the video on YouTube. You just type on my YouTube channel strategy to pass. You can refer strategy to pass FR exam. You can refer strategy to pass SBR exam. जो भी FR SBR आप रेफर करेंगे आपको समझ में आ जाएगा। और मैंने वो सारे डॉक्यूमेंट्स इंस्टीट्यूट के वेबसाइट से डाउनलोड करके और स्टूडेंट को जनरली, नॉट फॉर माई स्टूडेंट, फॉर एनीबडी, आई शो टू एवरीबडी हाउ द मार्किंग इज डन। सो इफ समबडी विल थिंक दैट आई हैव नॉट रिटन द, मैं नहीं लिख सकता, आप कैसे लिखेंगे? इफ यू से दैट आई कैन राइट, वेरी वेल, यू आर गॉड, आई कैन जस्ट से, बट वी कैन राइट इन आवर ओन लैंग्वेज वट एवर वी अंडरस्टैंड। Examiners are going to give you marks properly, and they have written in so many model answers in the bracket. Wordings is not important. The concept is important. What wordings they are writing in the answer, so many places they have written, the same wording is not required. Whether you are writing that thing or not, that is most important. So मैं अपने language में लिख रहा हूं, आपको अपने language में लिखना है. Like when we take mock test, if there are 10 students submitting the mock test, not a single student will have the same answer. सबका language अलग है, but ऐसा नहीं है कि one student will get the marks, 9 will not get. सबको नंबर मिलेगा. आपको क्या करना है? अपना आंसर लिखना है. आपको यहां नहीं लिखना है. यू वॉन्ट टू राइट इन द नॉर्मल वर्ड फाइल, वहां लिखिए. बट जो फीचर यहां है वर्ड कि भाई फॉन्ट साइज चेंज नहीं कर सकते, चेंज मत करिए. आफ्टर राइटिंग योर आंसर, सी द मॉडल आंसर, क्रिटिकली इवैल्यूएट, विच आई विल बी डूइंग इन द क्लास ऑल्सो, कि मॉडल आंसर का मार्किंग गाइडलाइंस को आपको खुद में समझ में आएगा. वेयर आई विल बी गेटिंग मार्क्स, वेयर आई विल बी लूजिंग मार्क्स, प्रॉपरली आपको खुद समझ में आएगा, किसी की जरूरत नहीं. बट यू नीड टू बिकम क्रिटिकल while evaluating your answer, comparing your answer with the model answer. And during these 10-15 days, whatever is left, केवल यही करना है. As I said earlier, if you think that मेरा ये टॉपिक बाकी है, रिवीज बाकी है, बाकी रहने दीजिए. You have to go on the institute papers, past term. Every question will be different. Not a single question will be repeated. But this is a must for passing the exam. If somebody is very well studied, very well prepared, to score very good marks, this is must. For any student, whatever may be the situation, you have to do this. I am saying since last week, again and again I am reminding. Because normally the student don't do that. They go on studying topic wise, they sit in the exam and they are not comfortable with the screen and all that, and then they face problem. Even though in practical life we are working on screen only, but for the exam we are not ready. That's the problem. That is also an issue that students' performance is not good in the exam. तो आपको ये समझना है कि आपको ये फॉलो करना होगा. कोई किंतु परंतु बात नहीं कर सकती. It's a must. Do or die situation. Either do, win the race, die, don't do this. That simple thing. So when we are losing control on a subsidiary, then these items would be excluded from the group accounts and compared with sale consideration, profit or loss on disposal of subsidiary will be recognized in group accounts. You can write this in a different language the way you like, but normally ये हम लोग करते हैं कि when we acquire a subsidiary in group accounts, we write their assets, we write goodwill, we write NCI, and when we dispose, then they are gone. Because that is no more a subsidiary, no control of business, so that is gone. And that is compared with the sale consideration, the profit or loss we recognize. In the above gamma case, subsidiary A is disposed of on, what is the date they have written, May 1st or May end? Just 1 second. 31st May. On 31st May. So we require net assets, goodwill and NCI on 31st May. हमें वो पहले निकालना है. So net assets. They have given net assets. They have given net assets in this paragraph 1 year back, 62 million. 1 year back, 62 million. Then in that case, since we are not selling on 1st October, we are selling on 1st May. October, November, December, January, February, March, April, May. 8 months are over. So subsidiary during these 12 months generated income 6.6. So in 8 months into 8 by 12. And in during 8 months only subsidiary gave dividend of 3.6 million. So the net assets on 31st May basically is 62 plus 8 by 12 into 6.6 and minus 3.6. That will be giving you the net assets figure on 31st May when we are selling. Similarly, हम लोग को निकालना पड़ेगा NCI and goodwill also on 31st May. Then only we can calculate income. So NCI figure at the acquisition was 13 million. I don't know how many years back. And then they said that at that time when we acquired, the net assets was 48 million. But now the net assets which we have already calculated 62 plus 6.68 by 12 and all that. Now the net assets is 48 to this. So whatever the increase in the net assets, 25% belongs to NCI. So we will be able to calculate NCI value on 31st May. At the same time, they have not given goodwill value also on 31st May. So goodwill value which was there, that is same because there is no impairment. But what was the goodwill at that time? So we acquired 40 million में shares. We NCI 13 million. 40 plus 13, 53. And the net assets at that time was 48. So 53 minus 48, 5 million was the goodwill. And that goodwill is still same because there is no impairment, they have said. So all these three figures we will be getting. And then we compare with the consideration 75 million. The difference will be gain or loss before tax. But the tax is 7 million. So after 7 million, what is the gain or loss after tax in the group accounts? That we need to show. So net assets as on 31st May 2015. So they have said 62 plus 6.6 into 8 by 12 minus 3.6 dividend. How much figure it will come? Now this figure I can write in the Excel. बट मेरे को लग रहा है कि अगर मैं एक्सेल में खोलकर एक लाइन लिखने जाऊं उससे मेरा टाइम और वेस्ट होएगा. इसको खोलो, इसको बंद करो, इधर खोलो, ये करो. दिस यू विल बी एबल टू अंडरस्टैंड ऑटोमेटिकली व्हेन यू सॉल्व वन और टू पेपर्स. जैसे ग्लोरिया इज सेइंग टू यू सॉल्व दीज टू पेपर्स, यू विल ऑटोमेटिकली अंडरस्टैंड कि आपको एग्जाम में बिहेव कैसे करना है, सो दैट यू कैन सेव टाइम. सो व्हेन द क्वेश्चन इन्वॉल्व वन और टू स्मॉल कैलकुलेशंस, नो पॉइंट गोइंग इन एक्सेल. दैट इज माई अंडरस्टैंडिंग. इफ somebody will say that सर मैं तो एक्सेल में ही लिखूंगा, करिए, मेरे को कोई प्रॉब्लम नहीं है. लेकिन जब आप प्रैक्टिस करेंगे आपको समझ में आएगा कि ये एक्सेल में जाने से और माथा खराब होएगा. जस्ट सिंपल प्लस माइनस डज नॉट रिक्वायर यूज ऑफ एक्सेल. सो द फिगर इज कमिंग 62.8. देन कम्स नेट एसेट्स के बाद गुडविल एज ऑन 31st May 2015. That is goodwill 5 years back. So which is cost of investment? Cost of investment was 40. Investment cost plus NCI 13. NCI 13 minus net assets 48. Net assets at the time of acquisition. So 40 plus 13, 53 minus 48, 5 million. No impairment till date. They have written that there is no loss in the goodwill of subsidiary. No impairment. NCI as on 31st May 2015. So NCI was 13 plus, we are saying now the net assets is 62.8. 62.8. But when we acquired at that time 48, and in this NCI is 25%. So what is the NCI value as at the time of disposal? What is the NCI value as at the time of disposal? 13 plus the post acquisition. If there would be impairment in the goodwill, that would be deducted. But there is no impairment, so not deducted. How much it will come? 16.7. 16.7. So profit or loss before tax on disposal of subsidiary A Limited. Profit or loss on disposal of subsidiary A Limited. We are saying we got 75. Now from this we need to deduct what? 100% asset value 62.8. 100% goodwill value 5. But we are selling 75%. We have 75%. So 25% NCI value 16.7. Net assets goodwill 100%, 25% NCI. So the balance belongs to parent. That balance parent sold out. The group sold out for 75. So whether it is coming positive or negative, obviously positive. 62.8 plus 5, that is 67.5 minus 16.7. Whatever the figure coming, that will be deducted from 75. So what is the gain figure? $23.9. Tax on gain will be same as in stand alone financials 7. आपको सब जगह मिलियन लिखना है, you can write, because नहीं तो even though examiner, but since figures are there we should write million. 7 million. So profit after tax in group accounts for disposal of subsidiary A Limited equals to 23.9 minus 7 coming to 16.7 million. Do we need to write anything else or it is done? For the first part 12 marks question, do we need to cover anything else or it's done? Anybody? Since still we will be preparing group accounts on 30th September. Why? Because this is not a, but other subsidiaries are there. They have written in the question many subsidiaries in the first paragraph only. So that means other subsidiaries are there, group accounts will be prepared. But subsidiary A, assets and liabilities, goodwill and NCI will not be coming in group accounts. Because on 30th September, this is no more a subsidiary. When we prepare group PL account, profit and loss account and other comprehensive income, subsidiary income expenditures and all items will be coming only for 8 months. Only for 8 months. Because for 8 months that was a subsidiary. Maybe in PL account, we want to record as a separate line item as per IFRS 5, that is also allowed. That also to be written, otherwise you have not covered comprehensively what is asked in the question. At the end of the year, 30th September 2015, A Limited is no more a subsidiary. It is already disposed on 31st May 2015. So A Limited net assets, goodwill and NCI will not be accounted for in group accounts and in PL account. Only 8 months income and expenditure of A Limited will be considered. Maybe in PL account we can, no, I will say that this should not be written because this is already disposed of, not required. If something is not yet disposed of, then in that case you can say that since it is going to be disposed, it becomes assets held for sale or discontinued operation. But since it is already disposed of, not to be written. But we need to write this also, otherwise examiner will reduce the marks as per my knowledge. Is there anything left which we have not written for 12 marks? First paragraph was saying that there are 75, 40 and there are many subsidiaries. The second paragraph is saying about the net assets. The third paragraph is saying about the NCI. The fourth paragraph is saying about from October to May what happened. The fifth paragraph is this. Nothing. Now I want to see the model answers. I have written here, but later on maybe for revision purpose, you may be finding that अगर ये मेरे पास लिखा होता यहाँ तो better होता. So I am posting it here also. क्या हुआ यार,
नहीं होगा सर,
नहीं होएगा,
नहीं सर।
जाते रहो, ठीक है कुछ तो होगा यार, देखिए क्या होगा।
स्क्रीनशॉट,
हाँ स्क्रीनशॉट तो होगा ना। क्योंकि बाद में आप लोगों को रेफर करने के लिए चाहिएगा, आपको लगेगा तो मैंने भी इंस्टीट्यूट का एग्जैक्टली जो है वो नहीं लिखा है, मैंने अपनी मर्जी से जो समझ में आया मैंने टाइप किया है, और अगर मैं एग्जाम में होता मैं यही लिखता, इट इज नॉट दैट इन फ्रंट ऑफ यू, इफ आई एम ऑल्सो ए स्टूडेंट इन एग्जाम आई विल बी राइटिंग दिस। अब मैं ये लिखने के बाद एक बार चेक तो करूं मैं कहां खड़ा हूं, वेयर आई एम। आप ऐसा मान लीजिए वो पेपर्स को करिए जिसमें आपके पास एक साथ 3 घंटे नहीं, लेकिन व्हेन यू हैव एग्जैक्टली 3 आवर्स टू मैनेज एट अ टाइम, तब आप 3 आवर्स में पूरा पेपर पहले कंप्लीट करिए, एंड देन यू गो इन द मार्किंग गाइडलाइंस व्हाट दे आर सेइंग एंड ऑल दैट। सो दिस इज 2A1 डिस्पोजल ऑफ सब्सिडियरी। फर्स्ट ऑफ ऑल जब भी आंसर प्रेजेंट करते हैं तो इंस्टीट्यूट इज नॉट सेइंग यू विल से रोमन ABCD 1 2, हम लोग का आदत है with the Indian exam we have developed the habit Roman 1 1 line, Roman 2 2 line, ये सब लाइनिंग का आंसर नहीं है। You need to explain those process in paragraph structure. Using IFRS 5 non-current asset held for sale discontinued operation, subsidiary will be regarded as a discontinued operation by Gamma Group. This is because subsidiary is a component of the group which has been disposed of during the year and which represents a separate major line of business. Gamma is completely withdrawing this sector. मेरे को एक नंबर नहीं मिलेगा because I was thinking of writing but then at the end I have not written कि ये disposal group है, मैं नहीं लिखा because already disposed हो गया, लेकिन एक नंबर मेरा गया, नहीं मिलेगा। Not that the language, the question is that I have not mentioned anything in my answer relating to IFRS 5 application. I was discussing but I have not written. IFRS 5 requires that Gamma Group disclose a single account in a statement of PL and other comprehensive income comprising the profit or loss of subsidiary A for the period up to date of disposal and the post-tax profit or loss. The single amount is required to be analyzed in further detail, but this analysis can be shown in the notes to financial statements. मेरा ये भी नंबर गया, मेरा 4 नंबर गया 12 में से, because I said that but I have not written कि we can record 8 months figure in the different items or we can record a single item profit or loss on disposal, and the breakup can be given in the notes to accounts. The post-tax profit or loss of subsidiary for the period 4.4, given that the subsidiary A was 75% subsidiary 1.1 of this amount will be attributed to non-controlling interest. क्या मेरे को ये सब नंबर मिलेगा क्या? The post-tax profit is 4.4 million of 8 months, given that subsidiary A was 75% subsidiary, so 1.1 million, which is 25% of this amount, attributable to NCI. क्या मेरे को मिलेगा? क्या लगता है? They are saying for this part 1 mark, half marks, half marks. कि during the year income 6.6, the 8 months income 4.4, out of 4.4 parent is 75%. and NCI is 25%. तो क्या मेरे को ये सब नंबर मिलेगा? मैंने एग्जैक्टली तो ऐसे लिखा नहीं, बट वॉट आई हैव रिटन, आई हैव डन द कैलकुलेशन ऑफ दिस, आई हैव डन द कैलकुलेशन ऑफ दिस बिकॉज दिस इज इंक्लूडेड हियर, और मैंने एनसीआई के अंदर वही पोर्शन कंसिडर किया है जो होना चाहिए। सो इफ आई एम द एग्जामिनर, एंड बिलीव मी एनी एग्जामिनर विल बी गिविंग यू मार्क्स जब आप स्ट्रैटेजी टू पास वाला वीडियो देखेंगे, क्योंकि यू कैनॉट बी कॉपी पेस्टिंग वट एवर दे आर राइटिंग। The consolidated profit or loss on disposal 16.9, but we calculated 16.7. Nahin, sorry. This is 16.9 only. I have written wrong because 23.9 minus 7 is 16.9. लेकिन नंबर कट जाएगा सीलिंग मिस्टेक का। This they are writing 5.5. How 5.5? The breakup is given. The total amount to be shown as discontinued operations 21.3, 4.4 million and 16.9. ये क्या बोल रहे हैं कि कंसोलिडेटेड ग्रुप में अगर आप इसको सेपरेट लाइन आइटम दिखाते हो तो सब्सिडियरी का ड्यूरिंग द ईयर 8 मंथ्स इनकम 4.4 एंड 16.9 लॉस। अगर आप उसको डिसकंटिन्यूड बोलकर नहीं दिखाते हो, यू इनकॉर्पोरेट अंडर द सेल्स परचेजेस 8 मंथ्स फिगर, दैट्स अदर थिंग। इसके ऊपर हाफ नंबर। एक्चुअली क्या है कि इसको जरूरी नहीं है करना। इफ यू वांट टू से दैट इट इज अ सेपरेट लाइन ऑफ बिजनेस ऑल टुगेदर, देन इन दैट केस करना जरूरी है, तो ये भी नंबर कटेगा, तो सर ये आधा नंबर। डिस्पोजल प्रोसीड 75,000, नेट एसेट्स 62,800, unimpaired goodwill at the date of disposal 5,000, non-controlling interest at the date of disposal 16,700, payable by Gamma on the disposal 7,000, so 16,900। मतलब ये 5.5 नंबर हम लोग को पूरा मिलेगा। दिस वी विल नॉट बी लूजिंग। बट इसका क्या होगा? What we will be doing with this? Because मैंने तो ये लिखा नहीं है स्पेसिफिकली। I have to done this, कि I have done this, so for these 5.5 I will be getting. Then you can see that this 3 and 1/4 marks I will not be getting. वो लोग बोल रहे हैं कि सिंगल एंटिटी लिखने का आधा नंबर, पोस्ट टैक्स प्रॉफिट हाफ मार्क्स, पीरियड फॉर हाफ मार्क्स, ऐसे करके 6 बोल्ड हेडिंग किया है, तो 6 बोल्ड हेडिंग 6 into half 3 marks. Then here the bold heading 4.4, non-controlling interest अलग से bold heading, and or bold heading 75%. Why the bold headings are given? That means the examiner is saying that they will be giving marks on this bold part if it is covered in the question. तो मैंने ये cover तो specifically नहीं किया, even though my concept are clear but I have not written. लेकिन मैंने एक बात एक्स्ट्रा लिखा कि at the end of the year, जो उन्होंने नहीं लिखा कि at the end of the year we will not be incorporating the NCI net assets, हम लोग उनको incorporate नहीं करेंगे, और 8 months का फिगर मेरे को इसके बदले एक नंबर मिलेगा, मे बी फॉर दिस पार्ट विच दे आर राइटिंग कि यहां पर, उसके बदले आई विल बी एबल टू गेट 1 marks हियर. सो इफ आई विल से व्हाट मार्क्स आई विल बी गेटिंग ऑन द फर्स्ट पार्ट 1 mark, then here for 5.5, 1 plus 5.5 is 6.5. Then the profit or loss calculation, that is a 5.5 part only, 6.5. Then we will get marks on this one. So मेरे को भी 7.5 ही मिलेगा. I am losing the marks mainly since I have not covered the IFRS 5 thing. Why the IFRS 5 thing is so important here? I have misunderstood, or I can say that I have not taken focus on one area. जो मेरे को दे, this is a market sector from the rest of the Gamma group. This is a totally different subsidiary business than the other subsidiaries and the Gamma own business. So generally when this type of language written, then the conceptual framework says that many times the parent company acquires subsidiary and the subsidiary are in the same line of business. Even though the subsidiary is disposed, but your business will continue. अगर मेरा ट्रेनिंग इंडस्ट्री है, आई एम एक्वायरिंग अ कंपनी, दोज हु आर मेकिंग मटेरियल्स एंड ऑल दैट, स्टडी मटेरियल, समथिंग लाइक दैट, विच इज माय बिजनेस रिलेशन, then in that case IFRS 5 applicability does not come. But if it is a totally different business, even though it was a subsidiary, और मैं उसको हटा रहा हूं, then generally the conceptual framework says that we should be recording it as a separate line item. So I should have written that. Since I have not written, I am losing that 4.5 marks. Okay, 3, 1 and the balance 0.5, because I was discussing, but even I have not written any single sentence on the IFRS 5. कुछ लिखता तो भी 1-2 नंबर आ जाता, but मैंने लिखा ही नहीं. तो आप अगर मेरे को भी आंसर लिखकर दोगे, मैं आपको इसके ऊपर 7.5 से ज्यादा नहीं दूंगा. मे भी हो सकता है कोई जन 6.5 ही देगा, मे भी हो सकता है कोई 7 देगा. That means the range of marks on my write-up will be 6.5 to 7.5, that is maximum. Because 1 marks on the first paragraph, I have not written anything. 3 marks on the second paragraph, I have not written anything. Relating to this, I have not written anything half marks. तो मेरे को तो 4.5 नंबर मिलना ही नहीं है. 4.5 marks मेरे को मिलेगा ही नहीं. Somebody will be giving you 7.5 fully, somebody will be giving you 7. You can't question that person कि मेरे को आधा नंबर क्यों काट लिए. And the examining team guidance are very stringent here. आपका जो नंबर आना चाहिए वही आएगा, 1-2 नंबर इधर उधर, nothing else. Since this is a company which is totally in the separate line of business, then we should incorporate IFRS 5 and we should not incorporate for 8 months figure under purchase sale, but we should be coming a separate one line, that is profit from continued business and profit or loss from discontinued अलग से डालना चाहिए. The breakup can be given in the notes to accounts, and the company can mention in the notes to accounts why they are doing this restructuring, because they want to focus on their core area. They don't want to focus on the non-core area. For that reason they want to dispose it off. Generally sometimes it has positive effect in the market, because I will be concentrating on my training classes more. Normally I can say that I will be getting more and more students, more growth in the business. But if I am deviating myself, I am going in a separate business. Not that I am stopping training classes, but फिर भी, then in that case normally the market consider that as a not good. Unless and until company has huge cash flows, the business in which they are already, that is saturated, the growth opportunities are not there, then in that case surplus money, surplus, where you will apply? Then in that case it is thought as a good gesture. That is good thinking process. But when you are focusing on your core areas, then in that case generally it is a positive sentiment in the market. Those things are not required to be written. But I am just saying that those things are required for business decision purpose. You can say SEMA case study exam. When you are writing these things, along with that, you need to present the business skill also in the SEMA case study exam. Whether this restructuring has a positive impact on the company or negative. That extra part need to be covered in SEMA case study exam. Because they are not thinking that you are accounting expert. And in the SEMA case study, so many calculations will not be involved. They will not be asking you calculate goodwill, this, that. You will be writing these things as your knowledge process without doing any calculations. And along with that, you need to say strategically that whether this decision should be taken or not. So I mean to say that since it is a different business, IFRS 5 लिखना चाहिए, मैंने नहीं लिखा, number cutting. Marks will be deducted because my performance is not up to the mark in the exam, because IFRS 5 should have been written here. Anybody has any question in this question for the time being? Fatafat, please. So we are moving to the second part.
So you had earlier mentioned that we don't really have to mention the IFRS description, like this is under IFRS 5, discontinued operations. But I see that at the answer they mentioned it. So there is any mark allocation for that? Because it would be difficult to remember at that point of time the IFRS. But the definition is mandatory in every answer, is what I have observed.
I have not written any definition. I don't remember a single definition in life, believe me.
Because every answer has carried that, not last.
No, when you will see the answers, many places they have written the wordings is not important. Where I will show you. Many places.
No, I've seen that as well. But generally, whenever we are talking, this is the IFRS that is applicable for that.
You will be writing in your language.
Two lines we need to write, yeah, is what I have
I mean to say that this comma full stop, even though you study 10 times, then also you cannot reproduce exactly in the same language. Because it is not ABCD, you understand that I will write a, yeah.
But we need to give at least 2 lines in our words, what the IFRS...
Mane, whatever you understand about IFRS, you should be writing, which I have covered in my write-up initially. IFRS 10 says this, which is not exactly the IFRS language. But then the IFRS say in paragraph this portion. IFRS say in paragraph this last portion, when it is disposed. But I am writing in my own way. I cannot write exactly the IFRS language. That I am saying. Because that is not possible. The question is that, कि मैं कितना भी पढ़ लूं मैं ये लैंग्वेज को नहीं ला पाऊंगा. मैं तो नहीं ला पाऊंगा यार. My English is already not good. The problem is that. But if somebody can say that I can write this exactly, you write. What I am said that I was discussing IFRS 5, but I have not written in my answer anything relating to IFRS 5. So I will be losing 4.5 marks fully. Because I have not written anything. If I would have covered IFRS 5, even though I was thinking, then in that case, out of 4.5, I would be getting 2-3 marks. Then that means my marks will be very high. But since I have not written, I will be losing 4.5 marks fully. Because here it is a separate line of business. And when you are disposing, it should be considered as a IFRS 5 separate line item. You should not consider purchase sale in the normal purchase sale for 8 months of subsidy. You should consider it as a separate line item, much logical. This is said by conceptual framework. So when it is said by conceptual framework, we should incorporate that. So they have written the answer along with IFRS 10 and all that, IFRS 5 because of conceptual framework. Getting? Should we proceed? Even though I have closed my answers, but when I have written, it will not close till the time I am not closing my paper, till the time I am not submitting my paper. आपको टेंशन नहीं लेना, आपने बंद कर दिया, गायब हो गया, वो ऑलरेडी रिटन है. Like you write in a pen and paper पे, वो मिटेगा नहीं. Similarly, when you are in the exam hall, 1 line, 2 line, whatever you have written, till the time your exam is not over, they are there. And after the exam, they are automatically saved. You don't have to save. Now the second part, which is 9 marks, slightly lesser marks than the first part. On November 14, it is not October 14, November 14, after 1 month. We need to focus on all the dates properly. Because then in that case, if we don't focus, then we will be doing silly mistake in exam. So if you want to avoid silly mistake, focus on every date whenever you are reading a question properly. Okay, so October is our beginning, but this is November, 1 month later. Gamma commenced the construction of power plant. We are making a power plant for use of the power in our organization. The total cost of the constructing the power plant was 30 million. Gamma commenced and the total cost of constructing the power plant was, they are saying. That means from 1st November within the year the construction completed. Gamma completed the construction of the power plant on 28 February. November, December, January, February, in 4 months completed. And began to use the power plant from March. So 1 month, even though it was complete, 1st March to 31st March, but we started using from 31st March only. The estimated useful life of the power plant is 20 years from the date it is depreciated. So the life of the plant 20 years for depreciation purpose. The construction of the power plant caused a certain amount of environmental damage. The construction of the power plant caused a certain amount of environmental damage. I think this is going into IS 37. Earlier part is IS 16, now 37. The power plant will be destroying the environment. Developed country provisions are there. If you destroy, you need to make up. Developing country underdeveloped provisions are not so stringent. But then in IS 37, the obligations may be constructive. We are establishing a plant where the rules are not there to rectify the environment. But we have made our policy, we will be doing that. Then in that case, we are going to make a provisions for that. The construction of the power plant caused a certain amount of environmental damage. The directors of Gamma estimate that should the damage be rectified at the end of the useful life of the power plant. The directors of Gamma estimate that should the damage be rectified at the end of the useful life of the power plant. सोच रहे हैं, directors are estimating. The cost of this rectification work out to be 20 million. So power plant constructed in 30 million and after 20 years we will incur 20 million. There are no legal requirements for such work to be carried out in the jurisdiction in which Gamma operates. So we are in underdeveloped or developing country where 20 million we don't have to incur. Actually, the rule is not there. However, in the past, whenever Gamma has caused environmental damage by its business process, the company has always rectified the damage, whether or not legally required to do so. So on the basis of their past experience, they have already made the notation in the market that they are going to rectify, they are going to incur. This is not a legal obligation, but they have created constructive obligation. Now somebody will write constructive obligation in different language. I have my own English. Everybody has his own style of writing. You cover that it is a constructive obligation, mark sees on writing that. It is not a legal obligation. So 20 million we will be finding out the present value because we are going to incur after 20 years. And when we find out present value, suppose it is coming 5 million. So we will add with the 30 million, the depreciation will be done on 35 million. That 5 million will be made 20 million in 20 years by unwinding up, by recording interest expenditure every year, finance cost every year. So this is application of IS 37. The earlier one is application of IS 16. An appropriate discount rate to use in any discounting calculations is 8% per annum. So when we calculate present value of 20 million, they are saying you use the rate 8%. Using this rate at 28th February, the present value of $1 million each 20 years time each 21 cents. So $1 after 20 year value today is 0.21. So $20 after 20 years value today is 20 into 0.21. You don't have to go into time value of money and all that. Straight away multiply, you will get present value. The finance director has discussed the preparation of financial statements with you. He has requested you not to include any of the implications of the environmental damage in the financial statement for the year ended 30th September 2015. So finance director आपको बोल रहा है कि ये सब आप मत डालिए, इसका present value चुक चाक, don't do that. Requested you, even though he can direct you because he is your boss, but he is a good person, requesting me not to include any of the implications of the environmental damage in the financial statement for the year ended 30th September. He has stated that Gamma plans on paying a profit related bonus to all the employees for the year ended 30th September. The company will be giving bonus to employees based on profit. He said to you, I feel sure you agree with me that we need to report as a healthy profit as possible to ensure our efforts are rewarded with an appropriate bonus. तो वो बोल रहा है कि भाई तुम भी नहीं लिखोगे अच्छा होएगा, तुम्हारे को भी बोनस मिलेगा, मेरे को भी मिलेगा, सब लोगों को मिलेगा, हम लोग का एफर्ट्स की कंपनी जनरेटिंग मोर इनकम, वो प्रोपेगेंडा होएगा, दैट विल बी हेल्पिंग अस, तो इसीलिए तुम मत लिखो. Even though it is required as per IFRS, don't write that. This paragraph is given for ethical purpose because the 4 marks is ethical question. That will come later. But then other than the 4 marks, 9 marks. IS 16, property, plant and equipment. We can purchase an asset or we can build an asset. We can develop an asset. Here the company developed the plant for 30 million. So the cost of the plant to be accounted for 30 million. The depreciation will start once the asset is ready for use. So on 28th February it is ready. Whether you are using from 31st March doesn't matter. You can use after next year. But on 28th February it is ready. So from 28th February onwards depreciation will start. That means for the current year, November to February 4 months gone, and October we didn't started, so 5 months gone. So March to September there are 7 months. So we will charge a depreciation for 7 months during the year. But before considering depreciation, the company know that the plant is, that is, I will be writing in the second paragraph. The company know that the plant is creating environmental damage. And to rectify those damage, after 20 years, we need to incur 20 million. There is no legal requirement in the country where we have developed the plant to do the rectification expenditure. But then in the past, on the basis of our company's behavior, company has created a constructive obligation for themselves that they will be meeting up, they will be paying 20 million for rectification. So as per IS 37, if the obligation is constructive, then also it need to be accounted for. Maybe there is no legal requirement. Since this is going to incur after 20 years, so we need to record this. I will write in the third paragraph. Since this is going to be incurred after 20 years, so I will be recording present value of this. So present value is 20 million into 0.21 will be coming around 4 point something. This will be added with the asset value because we cannot use the asset without incurring this. Not now, we will incur off, but we have to use this. We have to add this in the asset value. So the asset value after considering the environmental damage rectification cost is 30 plus 4 around 34 something. The depreciation for the current year on 34 will be 34 divided by 20 into 7 by 12. That is the current year depreciation. So for the current year in the balance sheet, the carrying value will be cost minus the depreciation of 7 months. Then I will be writing relating to the present value 4. We need to unwind, we need to record the interest expenditure, financial expenditure every year. In the current year, we will say 20 million, whatever 4 something is coming, 4 into 8% into, what I do say, into 7 by 12. 4 into 4 point something into 8% into 7 by 12. Whatever the interest expenditure that will be coming in the income statement, and the total provision as a liability will be 4 plus the interest, whatever figure will come. That will remain as a liability in the balance sheet under non-current liability because it is payable after 20 years. So first part, the IS 16. Second part, depreciation. Third part, provisioning requirement. Fourth part, showing the calculations. And fifth part, showing the calculation for the provision to be shown in the balance sheet. That different parts I need to cover in getting 9 marks. The language, maybe if I will write any language, you will write, doesn't matter. Ultimately, we need to cover whatever is asked in the question with explanation and calculations. Relevant calculation and explanation. I will suggest this answer also should be written in the Word file. There is no Excel requirement because if you open Excel for 1 or 2 lines, you will find confusion which you will be able to understand if you do on your own. Guarantee. If you don't do on your own, then you will not get feeling. Then in the exam problem will be there. You will be able to understand in the exam hall. You could have saved time, but you were not because you have not practiced on the platform. So for that reason, that is a must. Then comes ethics. Now ethics is not right or wrong. Something which is right from my point of view may not be correct from your point of view. Something which is correct from your point of view may not be correct from my point of view. Ethics is not law. If something is law, then to automatically the regulatory body will incorporate that in the legal requirement. Ethics need to be analyzed as a common man, as we say that as an ACCA student or CIMA student, we need to analyze ethics as a professional person. What is ethics? Gandhi ji ka bandar. Don't see bad things, don't say bad things, don't hear bad things. That always we say ethics. And ethics means what? Don't do anything which is going to harm others. Jitna had tak ho sake, don't do anything bad things which is going to harm others. Now, is there anything possibility that कि अगर हम लोग कुछ कर रहे हैं तो सब कुछ satisfied होएगा? ऐसा कुछ नहीं है दुनिया में. There is nothing in the world that you can satisfy everybody. Because you can't satisfy everybody. Then you need to take a call that if you are doing something which is adversely affecting somebody, but still you are suggesting it should be done. Suppose, in a company like they have said, they are going to dispose of the subsidiary because it is in a separate line of business. Now in the subsidiary, there are so many who are working. In our organization, there are somebody who are managing that subsidiary work. So when the subsidiary will not be there, the person who is working in that area, what will happen to that person? Maybe not one person, a team of persons. They will be unemployed. They will not be able to earn bread and butter for their life. So if you think about them, you will suggest the subsidiary should not be disposed. But if you think about shareholders, they have invested their hard-earned money in the company. And because of that other business, the company is not able to concentrate on their core areas. Because of that, the return is minimized. So you have a responsibility to the shareholders also. If I will say about directors, management, the directors management are working in the company for profit. And because of a wrong business culture, wrong business nature, the profit is not adequate. The directors are not getting adequate remuneration. They also, you need to think about them. You need to think about the other organization which we are selling. Because on a standalone basis, they will be able to function better. When we are controlling that, then in that case, we are taking illogical decisions. So on a nutshell, we think that maybe one person, that is some of the employees are getting affected. But on broader scale, it is ethical that the business should be disposed of. But you are doing something bad for one particular category of stakeholders. You can say that you will be doing this disposal in a course of time. Like in October, you decided, in May you will be doing. So they are getting 6-7 months to take their call to shift somewhere else. We will create for them some other opportunities in our organization, in another department, or maybe we'll help them to be employed somewhere else in the relevant industry and all that. At least that much we can do. That does not involve any extra cost. But we should be thinking about all stakeholders, not one. Now, if somebody writes answer in exams, either they will write very technical answer. Technical answer means ethical principle, ethical code of conduct, I will say, ethical code of conduct, ethical code of conduct. They say integrity, objectivity, then competency, then confidentiality, and then professional behavior. In SEMA, in ACCA, in Indian courses, everywhere these are the ethical code of conduct by any institute. Don't think that it is only for ACCA. सब में यही पढ़ते हैं. If I am teaching CMA US, if I am teaching CPA, if I will teach Indian, सब में यही है. Maybe just that it will come copy paste. Then in that case they are using some different synonyms, words and all that. उससे कोई फर्क नहीं पड़ता है. Because वैसे भी मेरे को I have written because I have read this so many times, इसलिए मेरे को याद है. But मेरे को लगता है if I want to cover in exact code wise, then it is becoming very technical. And the problem in the exam that we want to become so much technical, according to me. Integrity means you are always 100% correct. You will always accept those things which are true. You will never support anything which is wrong. Support correct things. Don't say wrong. Don't go with anybody who are saying wrong or anything. अब वो wrong law के नियम से है, maybe non law, that's your call. Objectivity. Always support logic, proof, facts. Always आप किसी don't give favor to anybody. किसी के पक्ष में नहीं बोलिए. You need to be objective based on facts, proofs and all that. Maybe somebody is your relative, maybe somebody is this, that, your boss. Don't support him because of illogical things. You always need to be objective in your approach. Competency. Always try to increase your skills and knowledge. Their knowledge is a never-ending process. Because if somebody will say that I am a chartered accountant, somebody will say that I am MBA, somebody will say that I am ACCA, CIMA, no problem, we are professional. But there are so many things coming regularly every time. Not only in accounts, every field. If you don't upgrade your knowledge, you will not be able to give consultancy, you will not be able to work properly in the organization. You will not be satisfied inside. So koi bhi kaam, don't do anything in which your knowledge is not there. Accept, but first of all, upgrade your knowledge. Because if you don't increase your competency and you are doing something as a job, as a consultancy or anything, and you don't have knowledge, you are actually violating ethical code of conduct of every institute. Knowledge is a never-ending process. It need to be done continuously. ये नहीं कि ACC हो गया, सीमा हो गया, IFRS हो गया, खत्म. Ending कभी नहीं. Because हर समय कुछ ना कुछ नया आते रहेगा. And if you want to be relevant competence, you need to always increase your knowledge. Confidentiality. Never disclose any information about your employer, clients to any third party unless it is required by law. If you are working somewhere, you are getting information about your organization, their future plan, this, that and all, you cannot discuss even with your wife, with your husband, anybody. You can't. Confidentiality need to be maintained. If you are doing consultancy, professional service, then also whatever information you are getting about your clients, don't disclose to anybody. Never discuss those information in public forum. Never discuss those things in any hotel, restaurant in front of others. Because maybe you are not come, but they are hearing. You cannot say later कि ये तो मेरे से गलती हो गई. माने, I have not done anything. He heard that. No, not allowed. And at the same time, if there is any case against the company, against the employer, against the client, you are involved in a police case, then you need to answer. That's other thing. Unless and until it is required by law, you need to break the confidentiality clause. If you are under a dilemma that even though you are in a case you should disclose or not, and you are not, then you can take the help of the institute. ACCA Institute, CIMA Institute, CA Institute, whichever institute you belong. Professional behavior. Always follow law and think about all stakeholders. सबके बारे में सोचिए. Because you are a professional person. If you think only about few stakeholders, that is not logical. फिर हमारे में और एक normal common man में what will be the difference? And we should never break laws. नियम को कभी नहीं तोड़ना. कानून, नियम, whatever is there, we should always follow. We need to be professional in our attitude. Even professional, according to me, most important is commitment. If you need to do something today, you have to do something today, that today only. You can't say to any person, I could not do because of this, that and all that. Not allowed. Whatever happens. Because what is the difference between a common man and a professional person? So what I am saying that somebody will start writing the answer under these 5 headings. You can. You will say integrity. You will say that in this question, when the, finance director is saying that don't disclose this don't record this in PL account, balance sheet, it is actually not integral. Because if you do that, you are supporting wrong things. आप नहीं कर सकते ऐसा. You are violating integrity principle, objectivity. You are thinking about yourself. You are thinking about all the employees, that if the profit will be more, if I don't record the provision, interest, depreciation will be lower, because depreciation will be on 30, no provision, nothing, no interest, profit will be higher. So you are thinking about yourself. Controller is thinking about himself, thinking about the finance director, thinking about, that means you are doing partiality. You are not logical. You are violating the objectivity principles. Competency. If you are doing something wrong which you don't know, that is called you are not competent. But here competency is not violated because you know that this is wrong. But if you do this wrong, that is not competency. You have knowledge that IFRS says, accounting says we need to record, the profit should be lower. So I will say that here competency is not relevant. If you don't know, then the competency becomes relevant. Confidentiality. The information, this is also not relevant in this scenario, because I am not disclosing this to anybody, any information in my organization. You can say that even though if we do this, first of all, the question does not arise, we can do that. So if there is anything happening in the organization, suppose the company decided that they will dispose of the subsidiary, you don't disclose in the public domain. So that confidentiality is not affecting here. Professional behavior. Behavior is always follow law. Law says that we need to follow IFRS in a listed company, which are preparing their accounts based on IFRS. And if we don't do that, we are going to break the laws. And think about stakeholders. We are not thinking only about our employees for their remuneration. We are responsible for regulatory authority. We are responsible for income tax. We are responsible for our shareholders. They should be getting true information. We are responsible for our suppliers, financiers, those who have given funds to the company, that they should be getting true financial statements so that they will be able to take informed decisions. तो आपको अगर इसको लिखना है, आप इस 5 पॉइंट को लिखिए. मैं अगर होता, कोई प्रॉब्लम नहीं है, बिकॉज एग्जामिनर्स आर सेइंग दैट कि आपको एथिक्स को प्रैक्टिकल सेंस में लिखना है. यू नीड टू राइट द आंसर इन प्रैक्टिकल सेंस. Even though you are using the ethical code of conduct 5 points, but if in your answer practicality is not there, you are writing integrity as a very technical thing. You are writing integrity, objectivity, technical way में, number अच्छा नहीं मिलेगा. But maybe you are not using the word integrity, objectivity, but you are covering the scenario. कि यहाँ पर problem ये है, you are explaining them, then you will be getting marks. But this part does not involve any calculation, theory. Which is saying that we as a professional person, while doing accounting or accounting work as a consultant, as a company's accountant, controller, we should always behave ethically in our approach. For that reason, they have covered this paragraph. कि इसके basis पे you will be getting 4 marks. How much we need to write in 4 marks? I always say 4 marks means, suppose 180 minutes in the exam, writing time. 180, 30 minutes gone in reading, planning, so many questions are there. 30 minutes is even less. I will say around 40 minutes you will not be able to write anything. So you will be able to write out of 180 minutes, 140 minutes. So for 100 marks, 140 minutes writing time. So you can say that 1.4 minute. So 4 marks, 4 into 1.4. That means it is coming around 5.6 minutes. In 1 minute, our speed of writing should be around 1.5 lines. So you can say that in 5.6 minutes, around 8 to 10 lines. You need to write 8 to 10 lines in exam. Suppose you think that I will write 50 lines. Out of 4, you won't get 40. 4 ka 4 hi rahega. When you know something, you need to cover very fast, so that the areas in which you don't know the things, you will be able to give time. But normally we do reverse. Whatever we do know, we give double time. And whatever we don't know, we don't do that. By that, we cannot pass the exam. For passing the exam, we need to solve the entire paper. So you are getting 8 to 10 lines. You can write in 2 paragraphs, maybe in 3 paragraphs, 4 lines, or you can write in 2 paragraphs, 5, 6 lines each, where you can focus that the problem with the ethics is what. If you start writing all the 5 points, integrity and all that, you will not be able to complete in 4 minutes. So according to me, the ethical code need to be written if the question is of 7-8 marks. Then you are getting proper time at least. Otherwise, you write in your practical sense, what is the problem here, you will get marks. कोई बोलेगा सर मेरे को ethics के बारे में कुछ नहीं मालूम है. आपको ये तो मालूम है ना कि ये जो बोल रहे हैं डायरेक्टर ये ठीक नहीं बोल रहे हैं. आप उतना भी लिखोगे 4 में 2 तो मिल जाएगा. If you able to explain properly, 4 में 2 से 3 मिल जाएगा. So I mean to say that it is a free marks institute is giving. But normally you find that if I am checking 100 copy, I will get the answer for this part 4 marks only in 5-7 copy. Balance में answer ही नहीं रहता इसका. So where we can get free marks, we are losing. And where we need to get difficulty in getting the marks, we are not able to score there. तो वहां पर गड़बड़ हो जाता है. You can't pass the exam by solving only part of the paper. 100 marks का पेपर कंप्लीट होना जरूरी है अगर एग्जाम में पास होना है तो. Now, reading the model answer, what they have written. First of all, relating to the power plant. Although Gamma has no legal obligation to rectify the environmental damage caused by the, this is they are writing first of all IS 37. Under the IS 37 provisions, contingent liabilities, contingent assets, Gamma has a constructive obligation to rectify the damage. This is because by its past actions, Gamma has created a valid expectation that it will do so at the end of the power plant life. आप कैसे भी लिखेंगे आपको ये डेढ़ नंबर मिलेगा, आपको लिखना है उसको. Under the principles of IS 37, provision will be measured at present value. So 20 into 0.21, 4.2 million present value. As the date for payment of liability approaches, the discount unwind. The unwinding of the discount is shown as a finance cost in the PL account. So unwinding of finance cost लिखा जाएगा. The relevant finance cost in this case will be for 7 months from the construction of the asset complete. Therefore, the finance cost is 4.2 into 8% into 7 by 12. The closing provision will be 4.2 million plus the interest 43,96,000. You can write in million only. This will be shown as a non-current liability in the consolidated statement of Gamma Group because it is payable after 20 years. Under the principle of IS 16, the property, plant and equipment, the initial obligation to rectify the environment damage will be shown as a part of the initial construction cost of the power plant. Therefore, the total initial cost will be 34.2 million. Under the provisions of IS 16, the power plant will be depreciated from the date it is ready to use, which is 28 February. Therefore, the depreciation charge for the year 30th September will be shown as an expense in the consolidated statement of profit or loss, 34.2 into 1 by 20 into 7 by 12. The carrying amount of the power plant in the consolidated statement, this will be shown in the non-current assets. Workings में they have shown that the working मतलब आप जो calculation दिखाएंगे and they have shown the carrying amount of assets also. Here I was not missing anything. Maybe suppose somebody will say that sir आप ये जो लिखे आपको 9 में 8 मिलेगा या आप जो लिखे आपको 9 में 9 मिलेगा. That's subjective. मैं आपको 9 में 9 दूंगा कि 8 दूंगा कि 8.5 दूंगा, लेकिन मैं आपको 9 में 9 मिलना चाहिए और मैं आपको 2 नंबर दूंगा. I am not mad. And you should be getting 2 marks. I will be giving you 9. Doesn't happen. Because marking guideline says आपको कहाँ कहाँ क्या नंबर मिलेगा. Not on the language. But are you covering whatever is required for getting the marks? Then the student will get the marks. The situation that the finance controller has been presented with will means that the fundamental principles of objectivity, not to compromise professional judgment because of the conflict of interest or undue influence, and professional competence and due care. Objective होना है and professional competence and due care, acting diligently, act in accordance with the IFRS. But we are already competent, we know, but they have written competency. The discussion with the finance director. Now यहाँ पर you understand, they are not giving this paragraph 1 mark, this paragraph 1, 2, ऐसे नहीं, बस 4 नंबर. मतलब वो ये सोच रहे हैं कि आपका हजारों तरह का आंसर हो सकता है. वो आपका आंसर को क्रिटिकली एनालाइज करेंगे कि आपने एथिक्स लिखा है कि नहीं. The decision with the finance director means that the finance director faces a self-interest threat. This is because the finance controller is due to receive a bonus on the reported profit. Therefore, there is a potential incumbent to increase the profit, जिससे आपका bonus बढ़ेगा. In addition to self-interest threat, the finance controller would also face an intermediation threat. This is because the financial controller reports to the finance director. वो डर रहा है. They are saying there is a threats also. Whether you write technically threats, self-interest threat, self-interest threat, self-review threat, self-review threat, familiarity threat, familiarity threat. Do we need to remember these points? No. But just that somebody will say that sir आप तो ये बताए नहीं. भाई ले बता रहे हैं भाई. मेरे हिसाब से मैं एथिक्स में बहुत अच्छा लिख सकता हूं ये सब पॉइंट्स के बगैर. Not required. But फिर भी somebody want to go technically. Intimidation. Intimidation threat. Intimidation, I think. Intimidation threat. Self-interest threat, your own benefit. You are doing something wrong, your own benefit. बहुत बार as a professional also we do wrong things. And not in exam, personal life तो many times. For our own personal benefit we do unethical things. Because everything is not in practical life 100%. But exam में 100% भाई. Self-review threat. You prepare financials and you are doing audit. आप ही बनाए हो, आप ही ऑडिट कर रहे हो. आप बोलोगे क्या मैंने गलत बनाया है? जो काम आपने खुद किया है, the work which you have done on your own, you can't do the audit of that. Nobody can do self. If I am teaching, I will say I am teaching very well. You all will say whether I am teaching properly or not. The review cannot be done by the same person who has done the work. Familiarity threat. Maybe we are very much related with management. मतलब हम लोग इतना दिन से काम कर रहे हैं, मैनेजमेंट के साथ उठते बैठते सब पता है. So we are not objective. Maybe because we are thinking about management, not anybody else. Because of this, we may compromise objectivity. Objectivity, maybe we will compromise. Maybe because of this. Chances are there, not 100%, but the chances are there. Intermediation, you are afraid of anybody, say your boss. आप उससे डरते हैं. And since you are afraid, then in that case you are bound to do. Suppose my son afraid of me. जो भी समझ लीजिए. So whenever we are किसी कोई डरा रहा है, धमका रहा है, and we are not able to do the correct things, that is called intimidation threat. Intimidation threat. So they have written that we are doing this because of self-interest. We are doing this because we are afraid of our boss. Even though boss is not saying you कि आपको भाई ये करना है, ऐसा बॉस बोल रहा नहीं. बॉस तो आपको रिक्वेस्ट ही कर रहा है, रिक्वेस्ट. बट स्टिल आप नहीं मानोगे तो बॉस डंडा भी मारेगा. बॉस बोलेगा नहीं करोगे जॉब छोड़ दो. आप एग्जाम में लिखोगे जॉब छोड़ देंगे. यू विल से दैट यू विल लीव द जॉब इफ द बॉस इज सेइंग यस बॉस, शाहरुख खान वाला, यू हैव टू डू. बट प्रैक्टिकल लाइफ में क्या करेंगे यहां नहीं लिखना है भाई. प्रैक्टिकल लाइफ इज नॉट रेलेवेंट इन एग्जाम. यू नीड टू बी 100% ethical in exam. So that they are saying as the ethical principle need to cover that if we are doing this, are we ethical or not? We are 100% not ethical, that there. Other relevant points, ethics of this situation, sensible made will receive credit. खुद ही लिख रहे हैं कि आप दूसरा तरह से लिखोगे, कुछ और लिखोगे, जो लिखोगे नंबर देंगे, बस लिखना होएगा. How much lines they have written? 3 plus 4, 7, 8, 9. They have written 12, 13 lines. लेकिन उनका जो राइटअप है वो बहुत बढ़िया है. That is not written in 5 minutes. that is written in 10, 15, 20, 30 minutes. That is not written by one person. That is written by team of faculties. अगर हम लोग भी सब कोई मिलके कोई आंसर लिखते हैं 2 घंटे में, we can write better than them. So the answers are there for education purpose. Not that you can write exactly whatever wordings they have written. Yes, बोलिए.
सर ये कुछ IAS से रिलेटेड पार्टी सेगमेंट रिपोर्टिंग IAS अकाउंटिंग पॉलिसी
कर लिए. मैं दिखा रहा हूं जो मैंने बोला पिछले दिन कि
रिलेटेड पार्टी वाली सब नहीं हुआ.
पिछले दिन ही तो किए रिलेटेड पार्टी, लास्ट डे ही किए. मैंने बोला कि मैंने उसको रीड नहीं किया जो मैंने लिख कर दिया है, लेकिन मैंने रिलेटेड पार्टी समझा दिया. सॉरी, ये तो पिछली बार का है. मैं दिखा रहा हूं, मैं लिख के रखा हूं कि मैं बोला कि हर समय जब मैं पढ़ाता हूं तो जो जो चीज मैंने डिस्कस किया ना, मैं यहां लिख देता हूं, जिससे कि आप वो चीज को एग्जैक्टली देख पाएं जाके वीडियो में. फाइनेंशियल इंस्ट्रूमेंट, डी रिकॉग्निशन, डेरिवेटिव, हेज अकाउंटिंग, ईपीएस, रिलेटेड पार्टी. मैंने बोला
ईपीएस के काफी क्वेश्चंस हैं जो
नहीं, मैंने बोला ना कि पिछले क्लास में कि जब हम लोग पेपर्स करेंगे ना तो मैं ईपीएस का एक क्वेश्चन करा दूंगा, उससे समझ में आ जाएगा. लेकिन एक जनरल डिस्कशन प्रॉफिट डिवाइडेड बाय नंबर ऑफ शेयर्स जो है वो मैंने कर दिया है. रिलेटेड पार्टी मैंने डिस्कस कर दिया, लेकिन रिलेटेड पार्टी का जो मैंने राइटअप लिख कर दिया है ना, 2-3 पेज कंसोलिडेशन के पहले लिखा था, वो आप लोग पढ़ लेंगे, उससे समझ में आ जाएगा जो मैंने बोला.
एक्चुअली ईपीएस का मैंने लास्ट सेशन का देखा तो वो काफी डिटेल में है, डाइल्यूटेड और राइट्स.
वही मैं बोल रहा हूं कि मैं बोला कि ईपीएस का क्वेश्चन हम लोग एक क्लास में करेंगे, कोई ना कोई पेपर में तो आएगा ही ना, तो उस समय वहां पर और डिटेल में डिस्कशन हो जाएगा. मैंने ये बोला, लेकिन मैं बोला कि और उसका थ्योरेटिकल डिस्कशन नहीं करेंगे. एक क्वेश्चन में कैलकुलेशन करना है, मैं करके दिखा दूंगा. When we will start this mock test? Mock test ही तो चल रहा है कल.
नहीं, आप जो मॉक टेस्ट करवाएंगे सब्जेक्ट में, ये तो
मैं
प्रीवियस एग्जाम पेपर सॉल्व हो रहे हैं.
प्रीवियस एग्जाम को ही हम लोग मॉक पेपर बोलते हैं. आप बोलेंगे मॉक टेस्ट क्लास में कब लेंगे, तो मैं मॉक टेस्ट क्लास में नेक्स्ट वीक लूंगा, जो हम लोग बात कर लेंगे कल.
अच्छा सर, कल आई विल नॉट बी एबल टू जॉइन बिकॉज़ टू गो आउटसाइड. आई मीन टू ट्रैवल.
मेरे ख्याल से मैं मंडे को क्लास लेने के बाद मॉक टेस्ट कराऊंगा. मतलब अभी आज, कल और मंडे तीनों दिन हम लोग पास्ट टर्म पेपर्स कर रहे हैं, विच यू कैन से एज अ मॉक प्रैक्टिस. उसमें कहीं ना कहीं ईपीएस का क्वेश्चन आ जाएगा, मैं उसको करा दूंगा. उसके बाद भी कुछ है जो मैंने बोला था कि आईएएस 6 और आईएफआरएस 6 वगैरह कुछ है, 2-2 पैराग्राफ उसमें होता है. तो जहां पर वो क्वेश्चन आएगा ना, वहां वो डिस्कस करूंगा, जिससे कि वो चीज कवर हो जाए. और उसके बाद मंडे के बाद हम लोग एक मॉक टेस्ट लेंगे. उस मॉक टेस्ट का मतलब क्या है, मैं क्लास में उसको सॉल्व नहीं करूंगा, बिकॉज ये तो कर ही रहे हैं. मैं आप लोग को पेपर मेल करूंगा और आपको 3 घंटे में उसका आंसर सबमिट करना है. और उसके अलावा मैंने बोला कंटिन्यूअसली, मैं 20 बार बोल चुका हूं ऑलरेडी, कि आप लोग यहां पर इंस्टीट्यूट के वेबसाइट पे जाकर जो मॉक पेपर है उसको सॉल्व करेंगे. 2 पेपर कम से कम 3-3 घंटे में. तो एक पेपर हम लोग क्लास में कर लेंगे, आप लोग को दिया जाएगा, आप उसका आंसर दोगे, मैं उसको चेक करके दूंगा. और 2 आप लोग अपने आप एग्जैक्टली 3 घंटा में बैठकर नेक्स्ट वीक से कभी भी आप करेंगे. मैं तो बोलूंगा इसी वीक से करना चाहिए, कि जनरली एक कर लिए मान लीजिए थर्सडे को, फिर उसके बाद 2-3 दिन रिवाइज किए, फिर एक संडे को, और फिर जब मैं क्लास में कराऊंगा तो नेक्स्ट वीक एक और कर लिए. मॉक पेपर मीन्स मॉक टेस्ट. देयर आर 2 थिंग्स इन मॉक पेपर. वन इज द पास्ट टर्म पेपर्स विच इज अ मॉक टेस्ट which I am doing in the class, and one is you all will be given question and you need to answer exactly in 3 hours. उधर में 3 घंटा के बाद कोई देगा सबमिशन नहीं माना जाएगा, वो आपको 3 घंटा में एक साथ करके देना है. And at the same time I will request everybody, you should not refer anything. You should judge yourself कि what you are able to do. ठीक है ना. ये मॉक टेस्ट ही चल रहा है, मॉक टेस्ट चालू है. मॉक मतलब पास्ट टर्म के क्वेश्चंस, लेकिन ये पास्ट टर्म के क्वेश्चंस आपकी एग्जाम किट में भी थे सब जगह. तो एग्जाम किट के बदले मैं यहीं पर खुद एग्जाम्पल दे के क्वेश्चंस कराता था, तो मैं अलग अलग एग्जाम किट में नहीं गया. अब क्या है कि जब से हम लोग लास्ट वीक से बात कर रहे हैं कि किसी को भी पास होना है, तो उसको ये वेबसाइट पे जाके ही पेपर सॉल्व करना होगा। अब आपके पास वो टाइम नहीं है कि आप वो सब माने वो टॉपिक को आप पढ़ोगे पूरा, दैट इज गॉन। ठीक है ना? Whenever you all find problem that you need to revise a specific thing, so this is in the Google Drive. When you go, this batch total details in which video what I did, everything is written. जैसे मान लीजिए संजय जो को पिछले दिन लग रहा था कि सर एम्प्लॉय बेनिफिट्स तो हम लोग पढ़े नहीं है, तो आई सेड दैट एम्प्लॉय बेनिफिट्स हम लोग पढ़ के रखे हैं। सो सिमिलरली वेयर यू विल फाइंड प्रॉब्लम, आप ये वीडियो लिस्ट में जाइए, यू विल बी एबल टू कोरिलेट कि आपको कौन सा पोर्शंस पढ़ना है। और रिलेटेड पार्टी मैंने कितना सिंपल में बताया कि कोई भी रिलेटिव है, हस्बैंड है, वाइफ है, की मैनेजरियल पर्सन है, सब्सिडियरी है, एनीबडी, दे आर ऑल रिलेटिव। सो वी नीड टू मेंशन इन द नोट्स टू अकाउंट्स हु इज द रिलेटिव, व्हाट इज द रिलेशनशिप, व्हाट इज द ट्रांजेक्शन वी इंटर्ड विद देम, व्हाट इज द अमाउंट पेएबल, व्हाट इज द अमाउंट रिसीवेबल, whether the value of the transaction it is normal price, normal, but still we need to mention. So related party is not involving any journal entry, ledger or anything. You need to disclose in the notes to accounts related party. फिर IFRS 8 जो बोल रहे थे, IFRS 8 operating segments, we discussed here IFRS 8 in very detail. मेरे को यहीं पर related party कराना था, लेकिन मैं बोला कि हम लोग नेक्स्ट क्लास से कंसोलिडेशन करेंगे, related party I will discuss later. तो मैंने पिछले क्लास में डिस्कस किया। IFRS 8 we discussed at length that 10% of assets, 10% of profit, 10% of revenue, then who are operating segments, what we need to disclose, we discussed that properly. जो भी जगह गड़बड़ हो रहा है कि भूल गए हैं, वीडियो लिस्ट में जाएंगे and you can do that specific video. आप वो स्पेसिफिक वीडियो को जाके कर सकते हैं। Getting my point? So let's proceed if there is anybody has any specific thing to ask. ये जो क्वेश्चंस हम लोग किए किसके लिए? फॉर IFRS एग्जाम और फॉर ACCA SBR एग्जाम। द क्वेश्चन विच वी डिस्कस्ड अबाउट subsidiary company disposed or IS 37 or 16, for which exam this is relevant? Ram, for this exam this is relevant. IFRS. That means for SBR it is not relevant.
No, I didn't mean
Yeah.
that. You have picked up the IFRS.
नहीं, नहीं.
That's the only.
That means whatever we are doing in any paper, it is relevant for both. So suppose you were thinking that, ki sir, we have only 2 papers. Then in that case, you have more than 2 papers. At that time, I have not said, but now I am saying. Suppose you will go here, ACCA, ACCAglobal.com. You have your IFRS registration number. That means ACCA Institute registration number, ACCA qualification. You go. Under ACCA qualification, strategic business reporting. Now they have given practice platform. You go in practice platform. You need to use your ACCA registration number here. First of all, it will be asking which variant. Log into practice platform. They are saying. So go in the practice platform. This is one of the student ID password I am using. Every student, those who are ACCA student, they have their ID password. Whether you are an IFRS student, whether you are an ACCA student. But here when you go, they have given more and more papers. Here I am going into strategic business reporting. Okay? Under strategic business reporting, international. There are different variants, UK variant and all that, international variant. Now official resources. Under official resources, past exam, practice exam, specimen exam. In these papers, you can skip the first one because first one may be slightly of a higher level as compared to IFRS exam. You can skip the first question if you are thinking about exam, but then the second, third, all questions are totally relevant for IFRS exam. Here you are getting 100 marks, 1 paper, 2 paper, 3 paper, 4 paper, 400 marks. These are not 100 marks, maybe this is 50 marks, 3 papers, and this is again 100 marks, 100 marks. So in your IFRS, you are getting 2. 2, you are getting 2 plus 4, 6. 6 plus 2, 8. This much, I can give guarantee. Nobody you can prepare all these papers. So if you want to practice on the institute platform, you go on SBR platform, where they have given more and more exam software related paper. I will say that कि student, those who are SBR exam or ACCA, IFRS exam, out of these 2 papers, one I will be taking test in the class. If we want to pass the exam, 3 paper we have to solve. If we don't solve 3 papers, we can't pass the exam. And that 3 paper exactly in 3 hours. You will be studying so many things whenever you will get time. But you need to take out 3 hours 3 times in the total 10-15 days that you will be focusing on mock paper. This I discussed in the first class also. If you see the first class video, when I discuss planning, when I discuss guidance, then also I gone here, I showed everything. But then that was I was saying in the beginning, because everything we need to plan in advance. Now we are there where we need to do mock. Mock means I will be solving in the class past term papers. And mock test means I will be giving you a paper and you will be submitting the answers within 3 hours. That is called mock test. Last 15 to 20 days in every batch we do mock papers. Because papers can be done when the entire syllabus is finished. Otherwise not. So suppose I am going into this paper. This is what? Past exam library. Under that SBR. Under that SBR. Let's go into this specimen paper. So left hand side, suppose if it is, I want to assign myself, assign. In the left hand side SBR, SBR, specimen 1, SBR specimen 1, start. SBR specimen 1, start. I am forwarding everything because that we are not reading in the class. Sorry. Unless and until full screen is not seen, it will not allow you to go forward. Now, the first question in their case is 30 marks, 1A 30 marks, 1B 20 marks, and then 25 marks, 2 questions. So in IFRS exam also 4 questions, 25 marks each. In SBR exam also 4 questions, 30 marks, 20 marks, 25 marks, 25 marks, like that. This is a 30 marks question. This 30 marks question always on consolidation. But they will not be asked to prepare PL account balance sheet. They will always be asking, like we have done in IFRS, the disposal of subsidiary. That type of question they will ask in SBR exam, always.